It's no secret that the rich use their money to avoid legal consequences. For example, donating to political campaigns is common for the wealthy to form close political contacts. By doing so, they will have more leverage in the event of an arrest based on these connections. These relationships can help the wealthy avoid prison and have their records erased so they can start over with a clean slate. In addition, the rich can afford to have others perform their dirty work. This further protects their anonymity and makes it harder to capture them in the act. Today on Big Money, we'll explore the various schemes the wealthy employ to escape the eyes of the law. One common tactic the wealthy employ is employing more capable legal counsel. The defense team for O.J. Simpson proves that even the most terrible of murders can be saved by competent legal representation. The wealthy can afford a more experienced and skilled legal team, giving them a significant advantage over the middle class. This group knows how to uncover legal loopholes and twist the scenario in the accused criminal's favour. In a trial that stunned the world and continues to fascinate even now, O.J. Simpson was found not guilty of murdering his estranged wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. The so-called trial of the century lasted over 9 months, but the jury reached a verdict of not guilty in less than 4 hours. Initially led by Robert Shapiro and afterward by Johnny Cochran, Simpson's dream team of defense attorneys gained widespread attention for their high-profile representation of Simpson during his trial. Cochran convinced the jury that there was reasonable doubt about the DNA evidence, despite the conviction of Simpson by Deputy District Attorneys Marcia Clark, William Hodgman, and Christopher Darden. He implied that laboratory scientists and technicians had improperly handled the blood sample, and those dubious circumstances had corrupted other court exhibits. The prosecutors could not prove that O.J. Simpson killed his wife beyond a reasonable doubt. An order of non-disclosure benefits the wealthy by letting them start over with a clean slate. A competent team of attorneys can easily obtain this order to seal criminal records from public view. Rich people can go a step further and have their records wholly erased, which lets them hide them from everyone. Famous figures, including Sir Philip Green, Donald Trump, and Harvey Weinstein, are suspected of using these non-disclosure agreements, sometimes called hush agreements. According to a BBC investigation, some universities have been using them to prevent students from publicly airing complaints. To find out how many universities in the UK are using them, BBC News surveyed all 136 of them. According to the data, since 2016, about 1.3 million has been paid out to resolve complaints related to over 300 students who signed non-disclosure agreements. Among the many issues raised by the students were sexual assault, bullying, and ineffective instruction. In other contexts, influential people have been able to use settlements, including non-disclosure agreements, to suppress charges of sexual misbehaviour, as in the case of US film mogul Harvey Weinstein. Mr. Weinstein, 67 years old, has claimed through his attorney in the past that he has never engaged in sexual activity without the consent of both partners. All the accusations made against him are false, he says. Furthermore, at the end of 2018, Topshop, Topman and Miss Selfridge owner Sir Philip Green's company Arcadia had employed non-disclosure agreements with some of its employees. The Telegraph reported that the funds were dispersed as part of settlement agreements with individuals who had filed claims against him. He was accused of sex and racial harassment in the paper, which he categorically refutes. The House of Commons of the United Kingdom spent approximately $2.4 million on NDAs over 5 years, according to data from 2018. It is unusual for the wealthy to spend time in jail unless they have committed a crime for which bail cannot be set. Bail can be quickly applied for, allowing them to leave prison while their case is pending. They can afford bail and will not have trouble putting up the required bond. Baker McKenzie is a global law company with headquarters in Chicago. Beginning in 1949 under Baker and McKenzie, the company has come a long way since its humble beginnings. According to the Pandora Papers, published by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, Baker McKenzie actively lobbied against initiatives to enhance financial monitoring and tax legislation on behalf of large banks and technology corporations. A study from the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists claims that Baker McKenzie is an architect and cornerstone of a shadow economy, frequently called offshore, that benefits the wealthy at the expense of governments' treasuries and the wallets of regular residents. Baker McKenzie has assisted multinational corporations and the wealthy in utilizing tax havens, trusts, shell companies, and other intricate structures to evade taxes and scrutiny. These anonymous administrations conceal massive wealth, including mansions, yachts, stock shares, and even dubious provenance money. Paul Manafort, who worked as a political consultant for former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, was sentenced to 47 months in jail for bank and tax fraud by a federal judge. New research shows that the feeling of entitlement to riches increases the likelihood that the wealthy will lie, steal, cheat, or engage in other immoral activities. Experts on wealth and power are commenting on Paul Manafort's behaviours as more details emerge about his lavish spending and other suspect behaviour during the third week of his trial. Manafort's lavish spending is consistent with what researchers have found about the rich and powerful. They are more likely to believe they are above the law. Berkeley psychologist Dasha Keltner, who has spent decades studying the consequences of privilege, riches, and power, recently told the Washington Post that the destructive influence of authority is the most consistent rule of human nature. Unfortunately, the effect of power is one of the most reliable rules of how people act. Keltner's research has shown that having a higher social class is one of the best ways to predict that people will act less legally and morally. This was the conclusion of a meta-analysis of 7 research undertaken by Keltner and colleagues in 2012 for PNAS to determine whether or not the wealthy had a sense of superiority. In 2 of the 7 tests, where a 4-way stop was observed, Keltner discovered that drivers of more costly vehicles were more likely to disobey the law and proceed through the intersection, regardless of whether or not pedestrians were present or in the process of crossing the road. To conclude, the foundation of our legal system is that everyone, regardless of socioeconomic status, deserves fair treatment. Unfortunately, in today's society, a person's ability to obtain justice depends on their financial resources. Those with lower incomes consistently receive worse treatment than those on higher ones. As a result of being unable to post bail, those with less money to their names spend more time in jail before their trial. People who cannot pay off their court debts have their licenses taken away. This puts them in a cycle of unemployment and hard times that they cannot get out of. These ineffective measures create a never-ending cycle of poverty. Rich people are breaking the law and making it worse. Do you think money buys legal immunity? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in topics concerning wealth and power, subscribe to Big Money to be the first viewer of our next video.